Thank you, Sean, for having me on the Next Level Live. On today's episode, we're going to cover a multitude of different topics. I'll be talking about the 12 questions that you should be asking yourself at the beginning of each year. 2020 has came to a close. So many people breaking records. Congratulations to all of you that broke records in 2020. The thing I love about sales is we all start from scratch. So what you did in 2020 was important, but it does not matter anymore. Here we are, new year, new goals, new ambition, and it's upon us, and hope each and every one of you grasp it and take control of it and have the best year you've ever had professionally in your entire life. I'm going to talk to you about those 12 questions that you should ask yourself at the beginning of each year. I'll talk to you about, the first 90 days of a producer and what that should look like. But before we get started, annual convention is upon us. It is here. So from February 4th to February 6th, make sure that you've already registered for one of the 7 cities. And whether you're geographically going to those cities or your manager tells you go to a specific city, make sure you communicate and make sure you register so we know whether you're going to be in Los Angeles, whether you're going to be in Dallas, whether you're going to be in Kansas City or Atlanta, and then you have Orlando, Jacksonville, and Miami. So those are our 7 cities. Make sure that you register so we know, because we only have maximum capacity at certain events, and that's important for us to know. So talk to your manager, make sure you come. It's a life-changing event. The one thing I love about, annual convention is we always break records right when we come out of it. We break a weekly record, then we break a monthly record, then we break an annual record, and it's all due to Sean and his staff putting on a tremendous event, but it's all about the training, the speakers, and the knowledge and expertise that you're going to gain that you can actually implement a true game plan in 2021 to help you dominate, help you take over. The thing that I always see that I love is you can hear from people that have gone from 0 to $1 million in 1 year. You can hear from people that have done over $1 million of personal production in 1 year. Those are the type of people and individuals that you need to get around. Not only the like-minded individuals that you get around that are great, but people that actually have a bigger vision than you. Because the one thing about business that I know is if you're able to get around people that have a bigger vision, it will help shape and form new habits, give yourself new standards to really help give yourself that best year that you've ever had. So you can only get so far off of your own thought process. What annual convention always does, it helps you change your mind. It helps you expand your mind, helps expand your level of thinking, and it helps you get things that you never would have. The other area that I've always appreciated and loved is the advanced market sales training from Sean Ruggiero and his staff. That's a multi-6-figure opportunity for each and every one of you. And the one thing that's very interesting about Family First Life is about 4% of agents actually write those annuities, but about 50% of the Hall of Fame producers write annuities as well. So there's something about the top producers and what they know that you really need to know. Because if you don't take advantage of those opportunities, you're really stepping over dollar bills to pick up pennies. And we all have that same opportunity to make those multiple 6 figures in different categories. So whether you want to build an agency, whether you're looking to improve your sales, whether you're looking to improve an advanced market, we're going to give you all the tools that you need to maximize your 2021. So I look forward to seeing you in one of those cities. We're going to have satellites everywhere, so you hear from the top individuals in the company, no matter where you're at. It's going to be a tremendous event, and it's only a month away. So make sure that you're promoting that to your people. Make sure you get locked into those areas, and it's going to be the best event that we've ever had. Before we get started here, I think it's important to look at the questions that you should be asking yourself. So a lot of times when you write down goals, or if you think about your goals, goals without a plan is a simple wish, right? But to me, goals without a plan and work ethic is what needs to happen here in 2021. So I think, it's great to have goals, but the biggest scenario that I can say is you have to have that work ethic behind it. So let's do a couple things real quick here. Ask yourself these questions right now. What was your biggest success in 2020? Whether maybe it was getting your license, right? Maybe you're just newly licensed and it was just getting your license. Maybe it was you writing your first annuity. Maybe it was your growing team. I've seen a lot of people answer this question and say, hey, I went from 9 writers to 47 writers. Or I went to 5 writers to 15. Whatever the number is, what I've seen is people are winning at a high success. For me personally, like it was partnering with integrity. That was my biggest success in 2020. And the thing I love about the partnership with integrity is before, for each and every one of us, you may not have the right type of vision in this industry. But what integrity has done for each and every one of you is it gives you windows in a room. Before we might have been sitting in a room without any windows. Now we have the vision where we can see and say, okay, there's an end result for you. There's an end game for you. And Sean is tremendous. He wants 40 new partners this year. He wants 400 different locations across the country for offices. He wants $400 million of issue-paid life insurance and $200 million for annuities. That brings us to $600 million company. And there's no question when Sean puts these goals out, a lot of times, he puts high goals, but man, we come either very close or we hit those goals every year. So I don't see why we can't all take advantage of these opportunities and really have the best year that we've ever had. The biggest thing I can tell you is you can learn a tremendous amount from success because success leaves tracks. The next question, though, that is very important that you need to ask yourself, what was your biggest failure in 2020? When you think about your failures, generally you can learn more from all your failures as long as you don't make the same failures over and over, because then you're expecting a different result. That's not the way this world works. You need to make sure that you learn from your failures and adapt and change and go from there. So I've heard different people saying I need to eliminate different types of distractions. I need to, the outside world is affecting my business. I've heard people say, I wasn't consistent enough on the phone. I didn't buy enough leads. What is that biggest failure for you here in 2020? For me personally, for example, I think I could have done better with my schedule. I think that I could have maximized my schedule. I think anybody on this episode here would know that you have way too much white space on your calendar. I mean, you cannot have big goals and big dreams and literally maybe be working 40 hours a week. A lot of times what I see is people talk about, having these big goals and big dreams, but they never really back it up with that true work ethic. Because the one thing that you need to understand as a self-employed individual, especially if you're coming from a W-2 world, is you've got to probably work 60, 70, 80 hours a week if you really want to achieve greatness. Now, if you want to be mediocre, pay your bills, just get by, that's a different scenario. That's something that you can do, and that's fine if that's what you want. You can make good money working 40 hours a week with Family First Life. I'm talking about trying to be elite. I'm talking about you being uncommon. If you want to achieve greatness, you need to do everything that the others aren't doing, right? If you want to achieve mediocre results and do similar things that you did in 2020, well then we've got to talk about how we can change your standards, habits, rituals, and give yourself a schedule to maximize the results here in 2021. Another question that I would say that you need to really ask yourself is, what are the 2 things that you need to eliminate that can help you have a successful career here with Family First Life and in 2021? So a lot of times when I ask this questions to different producers, they say, I need to eliminate distractions, from, friends or family, or I have some bad habits that I need to get rid of. Maybe you eat poorly. Maybe you drink too much. Maybe you're hanging around people that you probably shouldn't be hanging around. For example, you are the sum of the 5 people that you hang out with, right? You've heard that all the time. So you take the 5 people that you hang around most, and maybe they make $50,000 a year. Well, what are you really going to learn from someone that, if you're all making 50 grand a year, how are you going to help expand and get better to a 6-figure earner? And then, you have the same thing in 6 figures and then it moves to 7 and multiple 7. It's the same scenario in each category. It just allows you to level up as much as possible. One of the things I can tell you is I've been fortunate enough where my wife has been there for me, where I have never felt any pressure on when I needed to be home. What am I doing? She understands what the goal is, what the mission is for the family, and there's a lot of good communication. I think for a lot of you out there that have partners and spouses or even friends, a lot of times people are very interesting, by the way. There's a lot of your friends out there that want you to do well as long as it's not better than them. If that's one of your friends in your top 5 people, I would say you need to maybe eliminate that type of friendship. I know in the past, for me personally, I've had that happen too. Like I've had friends where everything's going well and then I reach a level of success maybe and I start to see them act differently. And it's almost like you don't really realize it, but they're almost rooting against you. Some of you have those friends around you right now. Some of you need to make that as one of the things that you eliminate here in 2020. So take a look at your circle of influence and see how you can really make a positive change. You know, communication solves all problems. I think when you're talking to your spouse or partner or whatever relationship that you're in, as long as you can communicate and tell them what you're trying to achieve, I think you'll have some good results. But when you don't tell them what's going on and you don't sit down and you don't have a game plan, that's where it gets a little more dangerous for you. You know, so I just really encourage each and every one of you to have some healthy conversations with the loved ones that you have in your life. Make sure that you have a concrete schedule. You know, make sure that the disciplines of your dial days, run days, work days, hours, you know, be intentional. Have your date night. Be intentional. Have your day off. Whatever you're going to do, whatever you're going to take out of this business. But the key component is usually when we're talking about eliminating things, you need to replace them with something. So when you have a bad habit, for example, you need to be able to replace it with a good one. So let's say, you know, your bad habits is you're starting to sleep in. Well, that's an easy fix. We can get up earlier. Maybe you can go to bed a little bit sooner and you can get up earlier. Maybe you need to start working out in the morning to create more energy. The one thing I know about this business that I've learned year over year is it requires a tremendous amount of energy. So, you know, how do we gain more energy? Well, we eat better, we exercise, and we keep our minds right? So, I mean, it's a thinking person's game, and every aspect of your life bleeds into your business, and vice versa. So I think it's really important for you as you look at what you did right in 2020, but what do you need to eliminate to really give yourself the best chance in 2021 to have the best year, you know, that you've ever had? One of the other things that I would say is, what are you doing to ensure that you're growing at the pace of family first life? So we talked about 400 issue paid life premium, 400 million issue paid life premium, 200 million issue paid annuity premium. Those are the goals that have been set. Now, the thing I love is it is very easy for you to have, you know, if you're you, that means you will double if you hire one person, right? So it's really easy as you're smaller to 10x, 20x this type of opportunity. Go from very little writers to a massive organization in just a year. That's very, very doable. Where I see people fail is they're just not consistent enough in their hiring efforts. They think it's a good idea, but we don't stick with it because it's not an instant gratification type scenario. So I want to encourage each and every one of you to be consistent. Be consistent with your efforts in regards to hiring. I'll talk about that a little more as we get into some of these other questions that we've got. So what are you doing to ensure that you grow at the same clip of Family First Life? Because if everybody does their job, it's kind of like a football team. There's 11 players on a football team. Assignment football wins games. If everybody does their job, then you should be able to win games. But what happens is we have breakdowns in different positions. Just make sure that it's not your position that's being broken down. Make sure that you're the one that's going to go to the next level, and make sure that you're the one that's going to take this year not for granted. It's going to be the first year of your life where you're going to change your world. The next thing I would say is, what are the resources that you're using for hiring? And then what is your marketing budget? I think if you don't have a marketing budget, you need to start developing a marketing budget. So resources can be as simple as free social media, right? A lot of you do a tremendous job. Some of you don't do a very good job. But imagine being able to start to story tell with people about the final expense appointment that you ran, and you were in the house for 32 minutes. You helped alleviate the burden on the family when you were there. And in those 32 minutes, you made $546. If you're interested, contact me below, message me, and I'll get you the information to get your insurance license. And then you start to tell another story on social media, because videos get watched, right? It's great to, post deposits and do all those things and be creative in different ways, but I'll tell you one thing, videos get watched. Put some content out there, put yourself out there, and we all have different fears. I understand it. We have, fear of people judging us. We have, fear of failure. We have, there's all types of different fears, but the biggest thing is do yourself a favor this year and try to not care so much about the opinions of other people. I think sometimes when it comes to social media, the 3 friends that say you're stupid are the reason why you don't do things. So make sure that you're doing them for the right reasons. Don't listen to the haters. In fact, if you don't have some haters, it means you're not doing enough. So make sure that you put out some content, storytell. Hey, I was able to protect this retirement account. I was able to make sure to give them lifetime income. In the meantime, I made $8,218 and I was with them for a couple hours. If you're interested in knowing more about this opportunity, contact us. How powerful is that? And then start to storytell about your agents and your agency. Because it's nice to talk about yourself, but it's even better to help edify and glorify the people that are out there working with you and what the opportunity has done for them and change. So there's so many people winning. You can use so many different results. You can use testimonials. Put that content out there. That's free. That's free advertising. Warm market's always going to be your biggest impact. Okay? But the key question that we are talking about is, what is your marketing budget? Are you posting Craigslist? Do you have a LinkedIn Premium account? Do you have a ZipRecruiter account? What are you doing in regards to attracting the cold market for all these people out there that are looking for a change or looking for a new opportunity? So I think it's important to make sure that you do both. It's important to make sure that you have your best year. So in order to have your best year, we need to increase all your marketing budget. We need to increase your thought processes. All your managers in office can show you the way. We can tell you through our staff or our experiences what to do and how to maximize your results. We're not going to tell you anything that isn't working because we want you to win too. I think it's extremely important when you look at yourself this year, take the shortcuts that are here. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. It's the easiest way to get off path. But take those shortcuts that you can see, like the person that's doing really well, and copy what they're doing. It's an easy business when we start to duplicate, replicate, and copy these results that are out there. So that's extremely important. So as this year comes, I've seen people mark their marketing budget go from $500 to $2,000 or whatever the number is. Just make sure that you allocate that and you get to that next level for that. The next thing I would say is, what do you have staff? And if you don't have staff, will you be hiring staff in 2021? And if you do have staff, are you going to hire more staff in 2021? The best thing about staff is they collapse timeframes for you. They give you that ability to scale and really take your business to the next level. Now, a couple important things that I can cover in regards to staff, because I've had some absolute tremendous staff that have taken my business to the next level, and I've made a few mistakes along the ways too, where I've hired the wrong staff. I've been fortunate enough to get rid of the wrong staff too, but it's just knowing that you have to be aggressively looking for someone in regards to staff. Here's a couple points. Make sure that you do a second interview with your staff. Make sure you do rounds of interview. Make sure if it doesn't feel right in your gut, then it's not right. They have to be a fit for you. They have to work well for you. And when you think about, anything that you've done well in life, any good choice that you've made, maybe you chose the right partner, maybe you chose the right business like this one, maybe you chose the right company like Family First Life, maybe you chose the right agency, whatever it is, choosing the right people is really the difference between winning at a seriously high level or losing. And what happens is when we do hire staff, we're giving them jobs that we generally don't want to do. And what happens with these jobs that we don't want to do is we end up not training them properly. So two things I see happen with staff that we're not accountable for ourselves is we don't train them enough for them to know how to get to the next level in their position, how to talk to different recruits, how to hire properly, how to ask good questions. Or we don't have the marketing budget to create the lead flow in regards to hiring. And then you feel like they're not doing enough. And it's really because the resources that you're providing are so low, it doesn't maximize the results that they can get. So there's really a couple different things when you're hiring staff that you need to consider is train them properly and make sure they have enough resources. So that's why those marketing budgets are huge. I know one of the things that I look at is, what type of different leads are you going to use this year? Instant internet leads, new internet life leads, social media leads, direct mail. What is it going to be? Is it second chance leads in the CRM? What is your lead flow mix? What is your game plan this year? How are you going to dominate? Are you going into the CRM on a daily basis and purchasing those instant internet life leads? That's how you stay ahead of the game. That's how you stay on offense. That's how you make a difference. $11 for a brand new lead, that's a game changer. And there's a tremendous amount of opportunity all across the country. A lot of you, when I was running at a high clip for over a decade, I ran at a high number for personal production. I was never worried. I would go 6 hours away and do a travel trip just because there was leads there, and I wouldn't think anything about it. I wouldn't think twice about it. But if in order to get where you want to be here this year, 2021, and really make it the best life, you're going to have to do things differently. You're going to have to look at this opportunity differently. You also can be strategic, like look at the lead flow map and say, I'm going to hire in the areas that have abundance amount of leads. That's what smart people do. This is a thinking person's game for sure. So, as you start to develop your own plan in regards to lead strategy, what does that lead strategy look like for the agents that you're bringing on board too? I think that's extremely important to have some thought behind it and make sure you're communicating the best you can as well there too. So the next scenario is, what is your overall lead budget, right? So, to me, a full-time producer, you need to be spending at least $1,000 a week on leads. Like the top producers are generally $2,500 a week, and you're thinking, wow, that's a lot. That's like, $10,000 a month in leads. Well, the top producers are doing $50, $60, $100,000+ of issue paid premium. So, it comes pretty easy. It's all basic math, right? So make sure that you whatever lead budget you're on right now, make sure you start to scale that up. Make sure that you know how to invest. I know one of the biggest scenarios that I teach in the beginning for new producers is make sure that you're putting 50% of your profit, of your, whatever you get from the insurance companies, direct deposit, take 50% of that and purchase leads. And then as your skill set gets better, you won't have to spend 50% of your number. But if 50% goes into leads, that's your only cost. You should be able to go up from there. So a lot of times people wonder, where do I start? It starts by you learning how to invest in the lead program properly and stay aggressive. Most people don't know how to do that in the beginning because maybe they're coming from a W-2. Maybe it feels like a cost. Leads are always an investment, not a cost. It's extremely important for you to understand that as well. So, how much time are you dedicating to dials? Mondays and Thursdays? Are you on Zoom live dials, right? On Mondays and Thursdays? Are you going to an office? Those are all big advantages that you could have, and make sure that you're, at a bare minimum making $250 a week. Are you doing star 6-7, blocking your number? Are you leaving voicemails on these internet leads and social media leads? I tell you one thing, a lot of times people don't pick up the phone, so you need to leave a voicemail, and you need to tell them why you're giving them a call. I'm getting back to you in regards to online requests for life insurance. Purpose of my call is to get you this information. Give me a call back. I've always been very direct in regards to voicemails, and voicemails works. It's a great way to get more appointments. They're not answering the phone. Are you leaving voicemails? And the funny thing about the not answering the phone scenario, are you door knocking? Are you bringing your leads with you and door knocking? People sit there and they'll call and make a massive amount of dials. And they're like, I don't know what to do. Well, there's no money in your house. So what you need to do is you need to go door knock, right? But a lot of times people need to be told these things. They need to go outside the box. I got an interesting story. So Brad Allen did over $1 million of issue paid business on his own pen in 2020. In December, he texted me, and he had already been over $1 million. And he said, hey man, I'm door knocking. Here's my schedule. I'm door knocking 25 on Saturday and 25 on Sunday. And he says, you know what? They're just not picking up the phone enough, so I'm going to go out and make it happen. And guess what he did? He went out, got in front of people, made it happen, collected more premium, had a great December. That's just what top producers do. That's what you need to do. That's how you get to the next level. So it's like I said, I always say it's a thinking person's game. You need to make sure to implement these simple strategies that are going to make your 2021 the best year you've had. The next thing I would say is, what's your personal production goal in regards to life insurance this year? So the one thing that I know for a fact, I was talking to Mark Mead about this, is, he and I in the beginning of Family First Life, or really our whole career, Sean was no different. A lot of the individuals I can think of was no different. We were never worried about our overhead. I was always going to pay my personal bills, my office, my staff, my marketing budget, lead budget, all that stuff. All overhead was always covered by my own pen. The one reason I see people struggle and stop in regards to hiring is it becomes a cash flow problem. And usually when it comes a cash flow problem, it's because they're not being consistent in the field. So the greatest power that you have is your own pen. Greatest impact you can make is your own pen. And you should be putting it all back in your business. Because if you're putting it all back in your business, it's the smartest thing you can do. And I can tell you what, one of my biggest regrets in the beginning of Family First Life is I was building, but I wasn't building like I should have been. I was purely focused more on my personal production. And everything has an opportunity cost. So if you're spending a bunch of time in the field, you're probably not going to have a massive agency. If you're spending a bunch of time hiring and recruiting, you're probably going to have some cash flow problems. So your job is to understand, to tighten your schedule up. Don't make excuses. The biggest thing I can tell you is your schedule has so much white space on it, it makes me sick. So it's the area that we all can improve on this year. So make sure when you're looking at this year for your life sales that you have such a high level, it covers all your overhead. And then it will keep you consistent on your hiring efforts. And here's why I think it's important in regards to hiring efforts is if you don't build a team, if you don't have an agency, I think you're probably 10 times more likely to not be in this industry later on. There's not that many, career insurance people that don't have an agency. And the beautiful thing about hiring is it makes you accountable to have an agency where really, you want to get better at personal sales? Hire someone because you need to know underwriting guidelines then. You need to be better on the phone because they're going to listen to you dial. You need to be better in the home. Hire some people. You know what I mean? That's the difference for each and every one of you. So make sure that, as you progress, everything has a cost benefit. Everything has an opportunity. Just make sure that you put enough cash in your pocket for personal sales and overhead. But above that, I'd be spending my time on hiring an agency. Like Dave Witcher's done a tremendous job. He sells about 40 grand a month. He has $1 million agency. He's putting it all back into his business because you know what? He's going to get an integrity deal. And he'll get one quicker than most people simply because he understands that he doesn't need to hold on to money. He needs to put money out there, stay on offense, and that's the way that you start to grow and expand your business in new levels. The next scenario is, what is your issue paid volume per month right now and the writers you have, and what will that look like in quarter one, right, through March, quarter two, quarter three, quarter four. So break it out into quarters. And how many writers do you want to have, and how much issue paid volume do you want to have? That's extremely important as well. So when you think about this, there's a huge opportunity that we're all about to have in the first quarter. 2020 was one of our best years in business because we had a captive audience. So we had a lot of people that either were not working and looking for a new opportunity where we could help those families out, help them out and have a new career. And then we also had a lot of people home that, aren't being active. They're not going to sporting events. They're not going to concerts. They're not going to their children's games. They're not going to restaurants. They're not going to movies. They're home. It's been a great type of year for our industry, which proves that we are recession proof. That's the good news. Now, we've got about 3 more months is my guess, because right now they're vaccinating the first responders and all those people. I'm sure March, April, whenever the vaccination will come out for the public, you're going to see a lot of people getting out of the house. You're going to see a lot of people being busy. It's going to be harder to get in front of people. So if you don't take advantage of this growth in this first quarter, you're going to miss out on a huge opportunity for you for the rest of the year. Because what can happen is you can hire the right people in this first quarter that can help hire the right people for you. And then all of a sudden you got layers of leadership in your group, and then you take over here in 2021. Then it's a game-changing opportunity in 2021. So take advantage of this captive audience while we still have it. And the pandemic has been very interesting to say the least, but it's been a great opportunity for us and for this business, no question about it. So just make sure that you're on the horse and you're riding. And then last question that I would have is, how would you quickly summarize what you want out of 2021? So what is your current producer level? Are you going to improve? How are you going to improve? Are you going to make more dials? Are you going to buy more leads? Are you going to run more business? Are you going to tie down your appointments better? Is no-shows a problem? Are you closing the gap on 24 hours out, 48 hours out, mostly on your appointments? Are you tying them down, making sure they're both there? Are you learning how to close versus sell? What manager level do you want to be at? Are you a sales manager that wants to get to vice president? Or are you a senior sales manager that wants to get to, a senior vice president, executive vice president, board member, councilman, where do you want yourself to be? Are you going to be a Hall of Fame producer this year? You know what's crazy about a Hall of Fame producer? It's $33,333 of issue paid business in 1 month. Have you ever written $1,666 in 1 day? Did you know if you did that 20 days of the month, you'd be a Hall of Fame producer? That's all you have to do. Write $1,666 in 1 day. You'll write $33,333 in a month, and you'll have $400,000 issue paid, and you'll have a red jacket, just like all those other tremendous leaders out there that have a red jacket with you. So what is the goal? Is it a Hall of Fame agency, $10 million a month, or a year, of issue paid premium? What is the goal? What is the level you want? And then once we decide what we want, now we're going to work like crazy to get what we deserve and get what we've never had. So I appreciate your time.